Hello, my dear students, and welcome back. I know. Exams are just around the corner, and the tension is building up, right? But hey, don't you worry one bit. Your tutor's here. Today, we're going to break down the first chapter of economics, and I promise we'll make it so simple that you'll feel like a pro walking into that exam hall. Ready? Let's do this.
Okay, let's start with something we all know really well. The pocket money problem. Just think about it. On one hand, you have this huge list of things you want, right? A new phone, pizza with your friends, those cool headphones you saw online. The list is endless. But then, you look in your wallet, and what do you see? A limited amount of money. This gap, this huge gap between what we want and what we actually have, that's the starting point for all of economics.
You know the story of Aladdin, right? He had that magic lamp, and proof he could get anything he wanted. A giant palace, tons of jewels, you name it. In a way, we're a lot like Aladdin. Our wants are also totally unlimited. But here's the catch. Unlike Aladdin, we don't have a magic lamp. We just can't have everything. And that creates a problem.
So this big fundamental problem, it has a name. And trust me, this is the most important word in this entire chapter. It's called scarcity. It's just this simple idea, you know, our wants go on and on forever. But the things we have to get them, our money, our time, everything, are limited. And this one idea, scarcity, well, that's the whole reason we even need to study economics in the first place.
So what is economics, Yar? If you have to explain it in just a few words, what would you say? Well, it's pretty simple. Economics is the study of how we deal with this scarcity problem. It's all about making choices.
Now, any economy in the world, no matter how complicated it seems, really just comes down to three big activities. First up is consumption. That's us, buying things, using things. Like when you buy a pen for school or a data pack to scroll through Instagram. Then there's production. This is all about making the stuff that we consume. A farmer growing rice, a factory making phones, that's production. And finally, we have distribution. You can think of this like, how does all the money that's made get divided up? It's about how the income is shared as salaries for workers or profits for a business owner, and so on.
Okay, so in this whole drama of economics, there are two main characters, two main players you absolutely need to know, and they are the consumer and the producer.
So who's the consumer? Well, that's you, and me, and pretty much everyone. Anyone who buys goods and services to satisfy their wants is a consumer. Simple as that. You buy a chocolate bar, you're a consumer. You recharge your phone, you're a consumer.
Now for the other side of the coin, the producer. This is the person or the company that makes all the things that we consumers want to buy. So a farmer growing wheat is a producer. A doctor treating a patient is producing a service. Even the baker who makes the bread you eat for breakfast, he's a producer too.
All right, exam time. Let's do a quick practice round. A super common question you might get is something like this. How will you choose the wants to be satisfied with limited resources? So what's the perfect answer? Well, it's all about one word: prioritize. You'd say something like, with limited resources, I have to make a choice. I'll buy what's most urgent first, like the textbook for my exam. Then if there's anything left, maybe I'll think about something less important, like watching a movie. See, that's the basic problem of choice right there. A perfect full marks answer.
Okay, so we're talking about all these big economic ideas. Poverty, how much our country produces, making choices. But have you ever stopped to wonder, how does anyone actually know these things? I mean, how does the government find out how many people are poor, or exactly how much rice we're growing?
Well, that brings us to our second hero of the day, and that hero is statistics. Seriously, you should think of statistics as a kind of superpower. It's what lets us see the whole economic world in numbers. It helps us collect facts and really truly understand what's going on.
Now, when we talk about statistics, we're talking about data. And data pretty much comes in two main types. On one hand, you have quantitative data. Quanti means quantity, so this is anything you can measure with numbers. The price of something in rupees or how many tons of rice we produced. On the other hand, you have qualitative data. Quali means quality. This describes a characteristic, not a number, like someone's gender, male or female, or if a worker is skilled or unskilled. Both are super important for economists.
So, why is statistics such a big deal? Is it just about collecting a bunch of boring numbers? No way. It is so much more than that. It helps us make sense of our complex world in some really powerful ways.
Let me show you what I mean. Look at this statement. Hundreds of people died in the earthquake. It's Kind of vague, right? It doesn't really tell us much. But now look at the statistical version. 310 people died in the earthquake in Kashmir. See the difference? It's precise. It's exact. It's so much more powerful and convincing. Statistics turns these fuzzy ideas into concrete, solid facts.
But wait, there's more. Statistics is like a Swiss Army knife for an economist. It can take a mountain of data, like the income of millions of people, and condense it into one simple number, like the average income. It helps us see relationships. For example, what happens to the demand for something when its price goes up. It can even help us predict what might happen in the future, which is so important for planning. And maybe most importantly, it gives our government the solid data it needs to create policies to help solve our country's biggest problems.
Okay, we're almost at the end. We're going to do a super quick recap in a minute, but before that, I want to tell you a short story. It's a really important one because it teaches us that we have to be careful and wise when we use statistics.
So the story is about a family of 4 who needed to cross a river. The father, well, he knew a little bit about statistics, so he calculated the average depth of the river. Then he calculated the average height of his family, and he found that the average height was more than the average depth. So, based on his numbers, he thought, great, it's safe to cross. But here's where the tragedy happened. The river wasn't the same depth all the way across. There were deep parts and shallow parts, and when they reached a deep part, the 2 small children, whose own height was much less than the family's average, they were swept away and drowned. The father's average was correct, but it was dangerously wrong in the real world.
So what's the lesson here? It's a really big one. Statistics is an incredibly powerful tool, yes, but it is never a substitute for common sense. You always have to think about the real story behind the numbers.
All right, let's do that rapid-fire recap for your exam. Ready? Point 1. Our wants are unlimited, but our resources are scarce. Point 2. Economics is the study of choice. Point 3. The main economic activities are consumption, production, and distribution. Point 4. Statistics is our superpower for understanding problems with data. And point 5. It makes facts precise and helps in planning. Got it? Perfect.
And that's it. You have totally understood this chapter now. I have absolute faith in every single one of you. Just walk into that exam hall feeling calm and confident. You've got this. All the very best.